Hi to YouTube. My name is Max. Are you trying to figure out whether or not a college tuition is the right thing to invest your money in? In this episode on YouTube, we're going to help you uncover whether or not that's a good investment and what's the return on investment. This is a recorded episode of a live stream that I do on twitch.tv/max_sense. So I encourage you to join us there where we have live interactive feedback. We answer your questions online. But in the meantime, here's the episode. Hope it helps. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Welcome to the stream. My name is Max. We are going to be doing some discussion tonight about college tuition. And I'm glad to see our good buddy Alan is in the chat tonight because I know he happens to be a college student. I think he might be able to offer some good insight on this. If you're brand new to the channel, what we are here to do is we are here to help you make decisions on your own using simple math. I like to refer to it as financial modeling with spreadsheets and the like to make informed decisions as it relates to how you use your money, how you save your money, how you invest your money, this sort of thing. I'm a person that comes from plus or minus 30 years of earning and spending, some not so good decisions, some better decisions, but I feel like I have a lot to offer as it relates to experience in that regard. I do like to point out that I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a certified financial advisor. I'm not trained in any specific way to be the end-all be-all authority on anything as it relates to investing. I'm just someone with a perspective and an opinion. So take that opinion for what you will. Ultimately, whether it's me or someone else giving you their 2 cents, I encourage you to make your own informed decisions as it relates to how you earn and keep and spend your money. College tuition. I'm not here to tell you you should or shouldn't go to college. Do not go and tell your mom and dad that Max says I should drop out of school or anything of the sort. I'm simply here to give you some perspective on what getting a college education can cost. We have in the news frequently hearing about these people that are mortgaged to the hilt, so to speak, with tuition debt, student loans, this kind of thing. And I think there are some degrees that are definitely worth pursuing. That said, as an example, I think getting $200,000+ in student loan debt to get a degree in something like history, maybe not such a great financial decision. But one of the reasons people go to school is to learn something that they're passionate about. I don't mean to discourage anybody from pursuing a degree in any specific field, including history or any other. But goes without saying there's some degrees that may afford you more earning potential and others that are a plaque on the wall that you can hang and be proud of and would arguably get you a better job than you would otherwise have without a degree. But you are unlikely to be exposed to great earning potential. And we could talk a little more about that as we get further. We're going to do this college tuition analysis, we'll call this. And if this is your first time in here, this is pretty much what you can expect from me. We are going to do some basic modeling using a spreadsheet to put real math to work and just let the numbers speak for themselves. I'm a big believer that the math doesn't lie. If you do the math correctly and analyze with realistic variable input data and this sort of thing, you're going to get a result. And generally speaking, the math does not lie. It is what it is. Whether you like it. Let's talk about what we're going to look at as it relates to this specific example, and I'm taking some specific knowledge of someone that I know of personally that is pursuing a degree, and I'm going to use this as what I consider to be a fairly typical scenario, not the only scenario, but one typical scenario. So we'll talk about the student who is basically fresh out of high school, doesn't have any scholarship opportunities. Uh, their parents don't have the ability to support them in a great way, um, and will support them as they're able to. But the reality is that the high school student is going to have to fend for themselves as it relates to going to school. So we're going from high school. We basically have one of two options two basic options. The first one being pursuing a wage earning paycheck right out of high school with a high school degree, or going straight into college where we are in pursuit of higher education in hopes of coming out in, say, 5 years with a degree that will command a better salary. So if we're going to be specific, let's just kind of work some basic calculations here. So let's say, for argument's sake, and I think this is unrealistic, that someone can earn straight out of high school can earn $15 an hour, which I think is probably unrealistic, and that's going to result in something like $31,000 in gross wages, and that's all before taxes, obviously. And by comparison, someone who has graduated from college with let's say a liberal arts degree, might expect to come out of school and walk into a degree that would command about a $50,000 salary. So let's do this. Let me insert a couple rows here. By the way, if I do anything too quick with the spreadsheet, don't hesitate to jump in and just say, "Hey, could you show me what you did just there, because I didn't follow what you did." All right, so let's see. This is straight out of high school. Is that one? And we're going to pull this guy over here. And then we'll call this college graduate. And if anybody has any personal experience and they want to weigh in on these assumptions, feel free to do so. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to start with the high school graduate, okay? So the high school graduate comes out of high school with no college degree, obviously. They are starting at $15 an hour, which I think is probably unlikely to happen with most high school graduates. And then they start working a job, and let's say, for argument's sake, with promotions and cost of living salary adjustments and this sort of thing, they might get a 5% annual raise, which again may be a little unrealistic, but nonetheless, that's what we're going to model. So this first tab, what we're going to do here, this is the high school graduate. All right, so let's start putting some columns in here. We have the month, and then we have the year, and then we'll have here. We're going to do something called gross income, and then we'll have net income. All right. Now, for anyone who doesn't already know this, gross income, that's the amount of money that you actually earn. This is your some people call it pre-tax dollars. So, in other words, this kid, let's say he's working at a restaurant making $15 an hour or $31,000 a year. He doesn't take this home in his paycheck, because he's going to have He's going to have withholding. He's going to have the Medicare. He's going to maybe even have to pay for some benefits he has through his employer, like the dental insurance, the health insurance, and this kind of thing. And so his net income after all that stuff oftentimes is going to be something in the neighborhood of, let's say, 75% of that gross pay. All right, so we got to get this rolling. So let's see, if that is equal to 12, then 1, otherwise that plus 1. I'm making a counter here. Whoop. Oh. That just making a little widget here, which will actually, let's start this is month 8, so let's make this. We're going to start at month 9, 2019, and what we're going to do here is we're going to say, let's see, if that is equal to 1, then that plus 1 comma that. Okay, and then we have the gross income, which is going to be this amount here divided by 12. That's this is monthly, I should say. Should we add a column in there for that? Monthly. All right, so now we have $2,600 in gross pay. That's we can call that pre-tax. Whoop, that's not what I wanted. And then we're gonna just assume a tax rate of 25%. So the net or take home, as we like to call it, pay would be $1,950. Okay. And then we're going to and then we're going to say at the start of each year we're going to give them a 5% increase. Okay. So if that is what? If that is equal to 1, that times 1.05. And in this specific stream, what we're getting into here is a look at college tuition. And looking at a kid straight out of high school going into a job that pays $15 an hour, which is probably a little unrealistic, and just getting 5% pay raises by virtue of doing good work and getting cost of living bumps, versus the kids straight out of college going into a degree program that they pay for with student loans, and then they get out 5 years later and they get a better paying job. And how would those two things stack up? In other words, what's the return of investment, or ROI, as they like to say, on the college education? California, you can get your 15 per hour in the next couple of years. Yeah, that's right. We got all that. What's his name? Bezos and Amazon is going to give everybody 15 bucks an hour. So, we'll call this kid the California high school graduate. How about that? All right. So, at any rate, what we're doing is we're building the model of what the high school graduates' earnings would look like here. That, I think I had this problem the other night. Let's see. So just doing a simple spreadsheet really here to show these two alternatives and what it ends up looking like. All right. So this, let's see, how far in are we here? let's do a 10-year period here. So we need to go to we need to go to 2029 of 9. What did I say? 9 of 2029. See if that's enough. 9 of okay, so this will be a 10-year period if I clip it off there. All right, so our high school graduate, I need to fix that. 131. By the way, loaners, do they even teach y'all how to use spreadsheets in school? I don't even know if they're teaching kids in high school how to, well, really do anything finance related. But I can say I got little to no experience with anything related to finance until I got into college. Engineering class, okay. So I'm probably going to do some YouTube videos on this because a spreadsheet is such a universally useful thing that you can do so many things with the spreadsheet if you know what you're doing. All right, so our high school graduate, after 10 years in the workforce, starting at $15 an hour and earning 5% raises annually, has earned gross wages in the amount of $400,000, and his net income, we're assuming 25% comes off the top, is about $300,000 after the first 10 years. All right, so that's what this looks like for our high school graduates. So what we're going to do now is we're gonna copy this tab, and we're going to make a new one called college. Let's see, I just realized this is basically me. Oh, this is a high school graduate. Okay, yeah. Well, we're fixing to find out. The goal here is to establish what is the return on investment, or at what point do you get your investment back, I guess is the way I would say that. And you're going to see that with this next example here, okay? So the difference here is we're now doing, let's go back here, and this is our high school kid, insert row, high school graduate, and then we'll go back here, and we're going to call this college graduate. I'm glad you're here because I think you're going to be able to offer me some numbers that are a little more real world than I might otherwise use. And I'm specifically interested in knowing what's the average interest rate on student loan debt. I think you can get it in the 3.5 range, but I think here lately it's running a bit higher than that, and that may depend on various other factors. 4%, okay. All right. So we did the high school kid. We're doing the college student now. So we're going straight from high school into college, where we're assuming that you will not work a job. So we have no monthly income, and we have no net monthly income, but we are spending money in the form of taking on debt, student loan debt, to pay for college. Okay, so what we'll do here, let's see, we're going to copy this column first. All right, so we are going to we're going to say what is our debt amount, and this is a little weird because we're starting in the 9th month of the year. Well, this is somewhat representative. Let's just roll with it. All right, so college tuition. Did you tell me earlier what college tuition cost you? You're again in California. No, I don't think so. But I'm told that college tuition all in with fairly reasonable living expenses and stuff like this, that $10,000 is kind of entry level for a semester of college. Does that seem about right to you? All right. So actually, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say if no plus if or that equals 9, that hang on, I see you responded there, but I got to finish this thought or I'm going to mess it up. Then 10,000 CSU, which is cheaper than UC. So my yearly tuition was about 7,000, but with housing costs, it was about 10,000. All right. UC are typically around 50,000 per year, from what I remember from some high school friends. Okay, so we can agree that 10,000 a year, or I'm sorry, 10,000 a semester, is kind of entry level for college, I think. So we're going to call this, we're actually going to call this new debt. Oh, so we need to do that. So okay, all right. So we're gonna do that for 5 years. We're gonna go to school. So that's okay. So 20, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna go to 624. So that should be 100 grand total. Total, and if we check the sum in the lower right, you can barely read that under my camera. If you highlight cells, it'll tell you what the quick sum is there. So that's confirmed that we did that right. All right, so we're every time that September or January rolls around for the first 5 years, we're incurring 10 grand in additional debt. Okay. So we have that new debt, and then we'll have here what our total debt is. So the debt is going to be equal to in the case of this first one, it's going to be equal to that $10,000, and then we've got to do the interest. This is the part that's going to blow your mind if you haven't already seen this kind of example before. So we're going to say that new total debt times 0.04 divided by 12. That seems low. No, I think that's right. All right, and then we have let's call it the so we'll call this the ending debt balance. All right, so anybody that's never experienced this before, this is where things like credit card debt and other interest-bearing debt is going to just eat you alive. So the way this works is you have a principal balance or the total amount you owe. They assess an interest amount on an annual basis, but it's usually done monthly on monthly calculations, and that results in a new balance. So in the case of this first month, and they wouldn't charge me the interest right away, but it's good enough for the purposes of getting this conversation started. I owe $33.33 just for having their $10,000 for the first month. Okay, and then when I get down here, I'm going to take that balance from before. Actually, I'm going to take that balance and I'm going to add the new amount, which we don't have this month. And then I'm going to do the interest again, and you can see the interest you're paying interest on interest, or you're accruing interest on interest might be a better way to say that. So now I have that amount plus this amount, and I'm up to $66.78 in total debt. Okay, and we go through this college education process all the way up to and including graduation, which would be on 6 of 24 or thereabouts, close enough. And we owe so much money they can't fit in the column. No, what we owe is $111 and I'm sorry, $111,000 and 416. I'm sorry, $111,416. All right. So the $100,000 in principal that we borrowed, we have accumulated about $11,000 in interest over the course of getting the degree. All right. Now, the good news is, instead of graduating high school and making $31,000 a year, we are going to make $50,000 a year. All right. So what we're going to do now, and let's do this. I'm going to put this little right here. I'm going to do it's called a split. This may throw some of you guys off, but this I think will help us out in terms of keeping this going. All right. So what we're going to do is we're now going to have a gross monthly income of the 50,000 divided by 12. So we're earning $4,166 monthly, and we'll assume that our tax rate or our take-home rate doesn't change. So we're still taking home 75%, which amounts to $3,125. Which, for anyone who's curious, we're starting out roughly $1,000 per month better in take-home pay than we would have without the degree. So that's not shabby. Of course, we're not here in year one, day one. We're actually down here in year 5, day one, somewhere down in here, where we've already earned our way up over the course of the time the student was at school. The high school kid has gotten some raises and things like that, so he's up to about $2,500 in take-home pay, just by promotions and things like that. All right, this is where if you try and simplify it and do it in your head, you may miss some key things in the analysis. All right, so we're making the gross monthly income, and I think, to be fair, like we did in the other example, we have to assume that we're still going to get the 5% annual increase in pay. The advantage being that we have started at a higher amount than we would have started otherwise. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say if it's the first month of the year, then we want that times 1.05. Otherwise, we're going to stick with what we got, and then we're going to copy this down, and you can see here that when we get to January, we're getting the 5% bump in pay, just like the high school kid did. The difference being, the key difference being, that we're starting with a higher hourly wage or annual salary before we get the 5%. So 5% or more is more than 5% or less, if that makes sense. All right, so we're not going to pick up any new debt as we go through this thing, but we do still have this unpaid student loan debt. So okay, so what we're going to do here first, let's do this. We're going to assume no payments on the loan initially here. All right. So I'm going to have a total debt equal to that, and then I'm going to pick up the interest against that. That's right. And then this is that. Okay, so that's good. And let's take that, and we're going to copy this. So we're just carrying the debt right now. We're not doing any pay down just yet. Okay. So if we continue to carry that student loan debt for 5 years without making any payments, why did it put 10,000 in there? We got a bust in here. Okay. All right. So if we just carry the debt and make no payments at all, now we're up to $37,000 in interest against the 100,000 that we borrowed for the student loan. All right. So um, now let's come up with a payment strategy for paying this student loan down. And I think what I want to do is starting in 7 of 24. This is our first day working the post college degree job. What if we paid an amount equal to the extra earning that we had by virtue of having the degree? What I mean by that is we're taking home $31.25 as a college graduate, whereas on 724 the high school graduate or scenario A is taking home less pay. All right, so I'm gonna work with the idea that this is a workable amount to live on. And if we as recently graduated college students can continue to live fairly modestly, in other words, if we can live at high school graduate pay level instead of taking all the extra money home and spending it, what would happen if we just paid ourselves less? So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go over here. We're going to subtract an amount equal to that. Wait, I did that wrong. I want to take this amount minus that, and I need that to be a negative number because we're gonna pay the debt, not accrue more debt. So we actually we need to let's do this properly. We're gonna subtract this, and we're gonna add this. Okay, so we're paying $636.25, and as a result of doing so, we're living even with the kid who graduated with a high school degree, went straight into the workforce, has worked 5 years and gotten the raises. We're gonna live equal to his means, and use the difference to pay down our student loan debt. All right, and this will increase because I copied it over from the high school students column, and we will see incremental bumps. Where here you can see toward the end we have $800 or thereabouts being paid towards the debt, $812.04. I'm going to go ahead and take this split out because it's muddy in the water right now. All right, so if we're paying the debt, we now have to say that we need to take this here plus this to figure out what our new balance is before the interest is calculated. So you're now seeing the difference. We take this amount minus the payment against the loan for this amount here, and now we pay less interest as a result, and we owe less as a result. And this continues on, all right? So over the course of the second 5 years, years 6 through 10, we have only paid down this this balance we owe in student loan debt by about it was $136,000 before, so we paid it down by about $50,000. Okay? Everybody following that? If not, feel free to ask questions here, and I'll weigh in on this. Um, so this this is significant because we seemingly have put a very small dent. I'm sorry, a small dent in what we owe. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pick this up and copy it down. And part of the problem here is that we okay, we got a bus there. Part of the problem is that the high school graduate was earning while the college graduate was not. Oh, I know what the issue is here. We don't have the high school graduates pay in here. All right, so we got to do the same thing over here. We're gonna add more years to see where these two things converge. The question is, at what point does the college degrees extra money sufficiently pay down the loan where he no longer owes the student loan debt, and he's now able to take advantage of the extra money he has by virtue of having the degree, because he's paid off he's retired his student loan debt. All right, so let me make sure this is still working here. No, it's not. We need 181. Okay. All right. So now we got to book back up here, and we should be able to take this set of formulas and copy this down, and that looks good. For anybody who doesn't know Excel very well, let's see. I'm keeping up, Mr. Professor Mansur. So anybody who doesn't know that much about Excel, you can see my little clicker up here at the top of these column headings. See how these are showing hashtags? What this is telling me is the column is too skinny for it to fit the number in there. So the easy way to fix this is you can double click this little line that separates that column. You want to get the one on the right, and it will make it just wide enough to where you can get it to fit. You can of course drag it manually, but that's a quick way to get it done and get it to go. All right, so something went awry here, loaners. Oh, I think, yeah, let's see. I think we can fix that by doing this. No, we can't. I think our high school graduates, yeah, we need to add more columns. All right, this is going to be eye-opening, I think, for some of you would-be college students. All right, is this working? That looks good. All right, and then we're going to fix this to be 230. So I don't even know how many years we're in. We're into year 2037, and we got to fix this column. So here again, the college kid, even though he has a degree and he's making extra money, he's using the extra money he earns above and beyond the high school graduate's money to pay down his student loan debt. And when he first came out of school, I think that was in, what did we say, 24? Right in here. So that the difference, he earns $636 more dollars take home pay than the high school kid does, but he's made a decision he's going to use that amount to pay down his student loan debt. So as he gets the raises, that goes up, and towards the end here we're paying upwards of $1,000 against the student loan debt. Unfortunately, we still haven't retired this student loan debt yet, and we're in year 2035. And I'm starting to wonder if we've got a bust in our calculations here, but it doesn't appear we do. $900. And this is, yeah, this is staggering. It almost seems unfathomably high. It's pretty clear to me we have to take a far more aggressive strategy towards paying this down to get this debt retired. And part of the problem here is, well, this is the real problem. We're paying $369 in interest, and we're only paying $600 toward the balance. So that's going to be very little. Not enough years on the high school sheet. Yes, there are subsidized and unsubsidized loans you can take for school. One makes you pay interest while in school, the other does not. Okay. Well, that would have made a difference because we would have come out of school here with about $11,000 left in less in debt, which would have been nice. But the reality is, we've come out of school with this big chunk of debt, and if we pay, well, if we live equal to the high school graduate 5 years after he's been in the workforce, we're barely scratching the surface of what we owe in terms of student loan debt. In other words, we're going to have to live a more modest life than the high school graduate to put a reasonably good dent in this and get it paid down. And by the way, I sincerely doubt that the student loan program is going to let you go into year 2035. This would be let's see, 1930. So yeah, we're in year 16. We've carried this debt for about 11 years. No, yeah, 11 years. I don't know that the federal government is going to take too kindly to that. But I want to see this through for the purposes of showing what I intended to show. All right, so we're gonna give this high school student more months and years of pay by adding some more of these columns. So we're up 5,000, 6,000. He's making some pretty good money now. We need to fix this sum here. 311. Okay. And then we'll do the same with our college graduate. We'll come in here. And it isn't my intent to lose you guys in the process of building the spreadsheet here. What my intent is to show you the result or the model and let you see the money moving in and out of the model, so you can ultimately see what the result is. And we can spend more time with spreadsheets and things like that to help you guys see what this looks like in terms of the nuts and bolts of how I'm building this spreadsheet model. All right, so you can see here toward the end here, as we get closer and closer to the end, because our balance is coming down and this payment amount towards the loan far exceeds the interest, the new interest that accrues against the remaining balance. We're making some serious headway on this loan, and we're cutting this thing to pieces toward the end here. And finally, right here, we have a negative number here, which means we have retired the loan. We actually technically paid a little more than we needed to pay the balance off. In fact, we can go here, we can change this to 550.86. Wait. Oh, I'm sorry, minus 550.86, and now the loan is paid off. Okay, this is in year 2038. So we have 38 minus 24. So roughly 14 years from the day we graduated. 19 or 14? 14. Yeah. 19 from when we graduated high school, but 14 from when we graduated college, which is a long time to pay down this debt. All right. So let's hold that thought here. What would be interesting to know is how much money did we pay in interest? And I'm going to use this quick sum tool to figure that out. So we paid a total of $48,000, almost $49,000 in interest charges on the 100 grand. In other words, roughly 50% of the principal amount. And the main reason is because it took us so dang long to get this paid down. Okay, we over the time we paid this loan down, we lived equal to the high school kid that didn't have the college degree. And so my way of looking at this, and this may be a little skewed, is that the two paths intersect at the point 19 years after high school graduation or 14 years after college graduation, before the college student ramps up and starts to far out earn the high school student, if that makes sense. You still with me, loaners? All right, so we're going to go back down to the yellow line. And we will see here, which column was, yeah, so this is the, how do I want to do this? So the net take home for the college kid is again, we're right down here. I don't know if y'all can see this number. That's really tiny, and I don't have a way to make it bigger. $735,000 at this break even point, if you will. And then the high school kid. Let me get this yellow line on my other. That's 3 of 38. Okay, so this is the point at which the high school kid is when we pay off the loan, and he has earned $713,000 in take-home pay. So he's earned less over that 14-year period than the college kid did, obviously, because of the difference associated with paying down the loan and this kind of thing. Although that seems a little weird. Let me check that. Doesn't that seem like am I missing something here, loaners? So this is our college kid. And you can see here I've highlighted the net monthly income, and I've taken it down to the yellow line, which was month 3 of 2038, and our college kid has earned $734,000. Okay, and then our high school kid, I highlighted the same thing. Okay, down to that same point, the high school kid is earned $713,000, or so about $20,000 less than the college kid. So something seems a little weird to me. How that difference is so close, but the college kid somehow managed to pay off this student loan. This is all from personal knowledge, so I could be wrong, but most jobs that you can get by being a college graduate typically have a starting salary of about 60,000 or 70,000 per year. Uh, you may be in part basing that on your geographic location. I know cost of living is substantially higher in California than it is here. Um, the I think the average college kid coming out of school is going to be somewhere in the 45 to $55,000 range, depending on how technical the degree is and some of that kind of thing. Um, and this is why it's really important for people to learn how to run these scenarios on their own. And this one's a little on the complex side. We probably went a little heavy-handed or on the difficult path with this specific one. The reason I chose this one is because it's something that came up in our last trial stream with Lumberjack Allen, and it's something that I was intrigued to kind of see what the answer would be. But I think we can agree that this student loan debt, and here we're talking about 10,000 a semester, right? Where loaners has experience with college friends. He knows paying one and a half, two times that amount, 2.5 times that amount per semester. You could easily walk out of college with substantially more than 100 grand in debt. So yeah, the assumptions need to be tailored to someone's specific situation, specific set of circumstances to account for these differences and things like that, so that you're making an informed decision based on what your situation is, and not based on typical or everyday kind of numbers or averages or what someone told you and that kind of stuff. In any rate, this was kind of interesting. I'm kind of surprised at some of what we learned here, and I'm still a little curious to figure out. In fact, I may dig further into this later on. How the wage gap, the cumulative wage gap was so close, but the college kid somehow managed to pay his loan off. I may do some graphs and other things like that to look at this a little more closely. All right, so what else we got to get done here? I think that's pretty much it. I was going to do, let's see, I am going to do one more thing. Am I going to do one more thing? No, I'm not. I think we're going to end it there. Quit while we're ahead. Thank loaners again for stopping by. Here again, if you're into Overwatch or Overwatch play, definitely recommend you give old loaners a look-see. Let me drop that in here. I've got to update all my my Stream Deck, and all that blew up when I opened the new account, so I got to set up all my buttons and stuff again. Yeah, I missed my Stream Deck, but the sound still works.
Howdy, y'all.
Howdy, y'all. All right, this is a good place to stop. You see anybody